Welcome back, my friends of WildRift, and for today we are going to take a look at the climbing tier list for WildRift. And before we hop into the video, let's talk about our question of the day. What role do you dislike the most and why? For me, it's the jungle role, and here's the reasoning. Most of the people in WildRift just int in lane and blame everyone but themselves. And the easiest person to blame is always and will for all eternity remain the jungle position. So whatever you're doing, you will always get blamed. You'll get pinged, spammed, camp stolen, and whatsoever all the time for no apparent reason. Because a normally thinking human would not do that, but the people just shift blame away to just never accept that they're actually at fault. This then snowballs into a negative cycle of thoughts, actions, and just overall an unpleasant gaming experience. If you want to play the jungle role, make sure that you're kinda immune to this, otherwise things will get tough. If you have any other opinion or just want to say anything else, just leave it down in the comments below. And now, let's start with the tier list. For the top lane, we have Malphite, the rock-solid pick you can always have on your team. With champions such as Jax being in the meta, things become very easy on the Malphite. Malphite is one of those champions where you can always go even in lane. It's basically the Garen. Spoiler, you'll see Garen later. But here's the deal about Malphite. With Malphite, it's so unbelievably hard to die during the laning phase, it's sheer impossible, similar to Garen. But what does Malphite provide for a teamfight perspective? Now, if you think about climbing the elo ladder, you'll always notice that fights around the dragon or objective areas are absolutely messy and people are out of position 24/7. So what about a champion that abuses this to the maximum? And with this we have Malphite, who loves just using his unstoppable force right into the enemy's heart of the combo. Once you're in there, you'll just demolish those people. Next to this, the lower you go into the elo, you'll see a lot of people stacking the same type of damage, and often you'll be presented with a full AD composition on the enemy team, or maybe just one mage. And then, Malphite has a field day. You will not be able to kill him and you'll have fun all around. Just give him a try and let me know how it went. And this is our full tier list for the top lane. Another champion who is a clear winner of any tier list you can see right now is Vi in the jungle role. Vi in the jungle role features multiple things that other junglers just cannot do. For example, Morgana has a pretty fast jungle clear, one amongst the fastest in the game. But Morgana isn't the best at skirmishing. So what about a champion that does both pretty well? And with this we have Vi. Vi does pretty well into Lee Sin and Kha'Zix, two champions that are spammed in solo queue. So this champion will definitely help you out when it comes to this. Additionally, you have to think about the ability to clear your jungle relatively fast. Vi can always, literally always go for full clear in the jungle and then go for level 5 play with the ultimate ability. With the secured lockdown, you'll almost always get a kill, and there's not much the enemy can do unless they're prepared for exactly this kind of play. And let's be honest here, how many people are actually aware of the fact that this could happen unless they're already in the higher end of the elo? It's not happening too many times in a row. Moreover, Vi can be played as a carry and not just a tank champion. With Vi, you can go full carry with a Trinity Force and even a Yomu's Ghostblade. It's so funny when you hit someone and use all the animation cancels to send them into the Shadow Realm almost instantaneously. People will never expect Vi to deal as much damage as she does because you don't often see this champion literally obliterating you. And that is our full tier list for the jungle role. Next up is the mid lane, and here we have a special pick that is always of value, and it is the Garen as we previously teased it. Many people will say Garen is not a mid lane champion, but let me tell you, you're wrong. You're just straight up wrong and Garen is broken, and there's nothing else you can tell me about this because it is the truth. Garen is high pick priority in high elo, mid elo, low elo, competitive, literally anywhere, any region, pick this champion, I'm not joking. What makes this champion so strong is the fact that for one, he can start with the Ruby Crystal and then go into a Hullbreaker, and second, his base damage is absurdly high. Whenever you reach the mid or late game, you can literally flash on an AD carry, use your first ability, E and R, ignite, and then he's gone. There's not much they can do about this because most of your damage is true damage whatsoever. And when they think about killing you, it's just a big joke. They really can't do this. The reason for this is simple. Number 1, don't be a troll and max your first ability. That doesn't do anything. You want your second and third ability max first. You max your third first, then your second, and then your first. Here's the reasoning. The second ability's damage mitigation stays longer on you and the cooldown of it goes lower, which means you take so much less damage in comparison to having your first ability max, which only grants like plus 30 or plus 40 damage per rank, which is just not enough to warrant skilling it compared to the benefits of the second ability. Turns out, not dying is quite cool. On top of this, with the Hullbreaker bonus and the side lane plus Demolish pressure, you literally turn the map upside down and force the enemy team to play around it. If they don't, you'll take towers, and when you join your team fights, AD carries will fear you. And this is our full tier list for the mid lane. The Demacian Yeller of Demacia when he runs you down is finally gone, and now we move over to Misfortune, and now it's gonna be fun. Misfortune is a champion that loves abusing the enemy's mispositioning during the laning phase. Her first ability takes care of anyone that gets too close to a minion. So whenever you play against a Misfortune, you have to actually pay attention to your positioning, otherwise you'll be poked out by a first ability double up. Another neat thing about Misfortune is the fact that you can neglect buying boots. You have enough movement speed with your second ability, which allows you to buy more damage items. With Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge, and Cyrilda's Grudge, you have a lot of damage plus zone control, and here's why. Your third ability has a slow, so if you want to use your ultimate, use your third ability into your ultimate. But your third ability's range is not as big as your ultimate's range. So what about a combination of spells and items that allow you to just slow them forever while they take even more damage? Number 1, your ultimate can crit, which means the more crit you have, the better it becomes. Second, giving your ultimate a bonus slow really increases your damage during objective fights. Don't forget that depending on how you position as an Misfortune, you're able to hit the entirety of the pit or the entrance of the pit or any corridor of the game. That will make it virtually impossible for them to escape unless they run out of it in a straight line, which then forces them to stay longer in it because they're slowed. Therefore, if any objective fight happens against an MF, you always have to look out for this, and for an MF, you always have to pay attention to exactly those positional things. Your champion loves doing so please become very good with camera control. And this is our full tier list for the AD carry role. Last but not least, we have the biggest winner of this patch, and there's only one item that really deals well with this champion. It's Serpent's Fang. But now let's talk about Lux and her laning phase. Lux's laning phase as a support is beyond broken, and there's not much people can do about it. She has the ability to start with all 3 spells, depending on what she needs at the moment, and just outrate the enemy. The most common start if you're a very good player in the trade heavy lane is the second ability. It will inflate your HP pool by a lot and allow it to trade with auto attacks. If that is not an option and you just want to poke from range, you can use your first ability for an all-in, or the third ability for just straight up poke. What most people don't even know about is the amount of damage Lux does with her passive. During the laning phase, you want to really make sure that you get use of all the passive stacks you can apply. With your first ability, weave in an auto attack, and with your third ability, also weave in an auto attack in between. The same applies for the ultimate ability after you cast it. And as the game goes on and we reach the mid or late game, all you have to do is hit your first ability into your third into your ultimate ability. With this, you will literally obliterate the enemy champion as per usual, as you would expect from a mage that builds Luden's Echo. And this is our full tier list for the support role.